This is Jay Johnson for Legendarium.me, home of sci-fi fantasy online. I've got a really good interview for two of my special friends in America, both Mark and John. I have the absolute honour and privilege to introduce John Rhys Davies. John, first of all, thank you very much for speaking to us today.
Well,
an absolute joy, an absolute joy. What an illustrious career. You've just been a worldwide brand now. The success you've had is phenomenal. I mean, you were a big hit to start with in Raiders of the Lost Ark. How's it been? How's life been for you?
Oh, life is wonderful. I'm just about to start a new television series in the States for Fox. It's called Hieroglyph.
Yeah.
And my bet is that this one will be a winner.
Yes.
Yep.
Very good.
And apart from that, I produced a co-executive producer of a little film the other day in Malta, and I'm technically meant to be executive producing 6 films at the moment, but with the new television series I think it's going to be a little bit of a squeeze there.
Busy man then.
Yes, indeed.
So obviously, as you know, I'm a huge fan of Lord of the Rings, and this will get seen by a lot of Lord of the Rings fans across the States.
Well, on behalf of the dwarves, I'd like to say thank you to you people in the States, because you've been a great support, and God bless the USA.
Very good, very good. When you got the part, did you realise what you were getting into with...
I didn't want the part.
You didn't want it?
No, dear Lord, no. I wanted this little chap who was a filmmaker in New Zealand, hadn't done anything like a large film. He was a good filmmaker, but he had no idea what he was letting himself in for with a big film.
Yeah.
And I saw this one grinding to a sorry halt. More than that, I didn't want to spend 3 years, with a full prosthetic makeup.
Yeah.
But my manager at the time, my agent at the time, who is now my manager, said, "John, if you turn this down, we can't continue to represent you." And my son, my elder son, said, "Dad, with respect, I think it would be a mistake to turn this down. Think about it. In every bookshop in the world, there's 2 foot of book space devoted to Tolkien."
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, you've got a point. So reluctantly, I went out to do it, and it was a very smart move.
A lot of actors that I talk to tell me they seek inspiration from other characters or the people they've met. Was there an inspiration behind Gimli? Was there another character you based them on? Or?
No, I don't think. I mean, I think sometimes you just have to look at the shape and structure of a piece and see how you serve it. Mm-hmm. The problem with the structure of Lord of the Rings is it wasn't originally designed to be filmic at all.
Yeah.
In fact, Tolkien was convinced you couldn't make a film out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I discussed it with Peter Jackson. We decided that we needed to add a measure of humor to the piece, and also we needed an energy from the character.
Yeah.
And we knew that Tolkien saw the elves as being vocally sort of Welsh. We knew that he saw the hobbits as being sort of Somerset, that sort of. So we decided that we'd make a Scottish dwarf with a slight Glasgow bias, so sometimes you get your inspiration from wherever you want, but sometimes you take elements, you think it should have that, it should have that, it should have that. Now, how can I make this work? And that is the skill of any good artist.
Were you a Lord of the Rings fan prior to that?
Absolutely not.
No.
Found the books tedious in the extreme to read. Of course, by the time I'd read them the 3rd or 4th time, I began to realize what a master Tolkien was. But no, it's well, I'll tell you something. When you look at audiences that you have, some particular audiences stand out, and the Lord of the Rings fans tend to be extremely smart. And the reason generally is that they've all read that damn big thick book beforehand, before they go, or they go and then they read that damn big thick book and it acts as a natural filter for intelligence.
Yes.
You've got to have a certain amount of smart to be able to get through it.
Yeah.
And it's very, very interesting to see the way different audiences go.
The backstory behind Lord of the Rings is tremendous. I don't know if you've probably not read the histories, but the histories are just a wealth of knowledge. So all the characters, and particularly Gimli, his relationships and his ancestors, they're all there in the Balance Tomb experience and all things like that. It's the strength I find that the characters have behind them. It's not just their persona that you see on screen.
Well, that's right. And he's right. Tolkien is writing a prehistory for Britain.
Yeah.
And it's his version of the Nibelungen, or the German sort of Teutonic myths.
Yeah.
He's a very great writer, and really, he's the father of this whole fantasy vein. And
I think he's got such a marvellous history. If you think one of his best mates was C.S. Lewis, and he liked to go for a good beer with him on a Friday night. I mean,
the other day I was looking for a front-end loader for a tractor.
Yeah.
And I chanced on one near Oxfordshire, and the name of the place was Entwood, and it actually happened to be a home that had been built in the garden of one of Tolkien's colleagues and professors, and a place where he'd gone and spent many a weekend while writing Lord of the Rings. And they built, the two professors between them had built two twin towers in the gardens, one of which had fallen down, but one is still there.
Fantastic. So, when are we going to see you next?
Well, Hieroglyph, which is this new hot Fox show, will be... I think it'll be on air by the autumn, or it may even be on the air by midsummer. There is an initial order of 13, I believe, and they're actually filming tomorrow. They start filming tomorrow in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I'll be joining them in Morocco in about 3 weeks' time. So
are you going to continue with the cons, or because I've not really noticed you on the cons before, but this is the first time I've seen you on the billing, billing, obviously.
Not really, but I love these conventions because it's the only chance you really get to meet your audience.
Yes.
And to see who they are. I also have an ulterior purpose as well. I'm on the advisory council of the Planetary Society.
Yeah.
And one of the functions of the Planetary Society is to encourage young people, and by that I mean 10 to 35 who have an interest in science, and to help sort of put them in a framework where they can collaborate with each other, and a lot of very good minds there.
Is there a website people can look at?
The Planetary Society, planetary.org. And so one of the things I do when I come to these things is to try and meet young people and encourage them to the dark side of the Force. I said that to a lady the other day, and she said, "You do realize I'm a Baptist minister?" I said, "Well, ma'am, I assure you that this dark side of the Force is said with the tongue in the cheek."
Brilliant. Well, John, thank you very much for the interview. I really, really appreciate it. It's been an absolute joy to speak to you. Thank you very much. Cheers. That's all for now. Thank you. Bye-bye.
God bless you.